Well, I am an admirer of Elisa's. Elisa has even worked for me, and the fact is that she is talented.
What's they call Kermit and Friends?
Kermit and Friends.
Kermit. But
It's Kermit.
You're saying
like
not to do...
Yeah,
wait.
I actually have watched a few hours of Kermit and Friends.
How many hours have you watched, Natalie?
Oh, no. Probably indulged in 8 hours.
Holy...
My wife and I watched Benji's ex-girlfriends or whatever's going on. We watched this crazy podcast, and I have to say, this is one of the, probably in the top 5 things I think about right now.
She has a podcast, but she gets to come on the radio. It is craziness upon craziness.
I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kermit and Friends. I'm Elisa. This is Fozzie, and Kermit is watching from heaven. How's everybody doing today? I'm so excited. Kermit and Friends is back. We have some guests booked for today. Very exciting. I always love that. It's been a great week. I mean, it was like a horrible week for me. You know, I was kind of like lonely. I was sad about like Thanksgiving and everything. I went to like a family Thanksgiving and they were asking me, oh shit, Fozzie, stop. And they were asking me all these questions like, they were trying to be nice to me, which actually sometimes hurts more than somebody that's being mean. They were like, oh, you know, you could bring a friend to this if you want. Like they think like I can't get a date, so I should bring a friend. And, you know, they're like, oh, you could bring somebody. I'm like, I really don't have anybody that I feel like appropriate, like to bring. I was thinking about all the people I know, like, who should I bring? I mean, I know like some live streamers I could probably bring, but who would that be? So, you know, it's just weird. I don't like these like get-togethers, like awkward get-togethers. I think it's really weird when you're like the only one that's by yourself. So I was feeling very sad about that. But then I went on Zoloft, but it was really freaking me out. I was up at all hours of the night, like just in a cold sweat. And so I stopped taking it. Kermit and Friends, how can I help you?
Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Jimmy Rizzo. How are you? You're on, Jimmy Rizzo.
Lisa, I'm near the short. You know when you want Beverly Hills dancing with them 3 ladies?
Well, Beverly Hills with 3 ladies? Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, when you were dancing.
Oh, I think that was in Florida, Jimmy Rizzo. I think that might have been when I was in Clearwater. I was with Elaine and with somebody named Deborah. Is that who you mean?
No, you met that black guy.
The black guy? Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, I was with somebody named Pilar and a blonde woman from Playboy. Is that who you mean?
Were you not in Beverly Hills at the time? I'm sure you were in Beverly Hills.
Do you want me to go back to Beverly Hills?
I think you were in Beverly Hills, man, with them 3 girls, and you met that black guy as well.
Did you like those people?
Oh, they were brilliant. They were fucking great.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to do that more. I'm taking a little break.
I hope you kept in touch with that black guy. He was a lovely guy, him.
He's a lovely guy. I was upset with that guy though, Jimmy, because we went to dinner and I thought we were gonna split it, and he said he forgot his wallet, so I got very mad. And then he said he'd pay me back, and he never paid me back. So I think he's gonna be out. That guy.
Yeah, well, that's
but you liked him.
Yeah, but I made a short of that video anyway where you were dancing, and it did well. Hey, but them 3 ladies, them are fucking smart, them ones.
Yeah, so you like the Beverly Hills stream. So you like the live streaming. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Did you see the stream with me and JJ?
No, to tell you the truth, I haven't been watching many YouTube videos lately. I've been watching the History Channel and Discovery.
The History Channel, the Discovery Channel. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
All right.
I was going to come on StreamYard in your show, but I'm in my show now. So.
Oh, you're on your show. All right. You have any other questions, Jimmy? Before I move on, I have some guests lined up today.
You got some guests lined up. Anyways, hello to everybody. You can catch me at jimmyrizzo.com.
Okay, jimmyrizzo.com. Everybody will catch you. Okay, great. Okay. All right. So I was on Zoloft. I was freaking out. I was up at all hours of the night in a cold sweat, so I stopped taking it. And I was really worried to stop taking it. But then JJ called me. And he asked me to do IRL, and that solved all my problems. So instead of taking medication, and you can't control how that's going to work on you, so I just really hated that aspect of it. I did IRL with JJ, and it cured all my sadness. I'm completely different, and I'm attracting all kinds of people. I've been contacted by very big people this week to do live streams with them. So I have a lot of cool things coming up. So I'm just going to tell you guys about that. I'm not going to say who, but it's been really great. Let me introduce my co-host, Wheezy. Welcome, Wheezy.
Hello. I love that JJ replaced your Zoloft. I think that's amazing. He was so good with you. I just saw a clip on YouTube recently of the first time you and JJ met, and you were very unsure of him then. And
yes,
now
I was.
He has won you over, and he was amazing on your stream. It was really awesome.
Yeah, you should never judge someone too much, right? Because they could really be different than what you originally perceived them to be. So yeah, I had a blast. I mean, I just had one of the best days of my life with him. So, I mean, I hope he enjoyed it too. I mean, he doesn't say much, but I just hope that he enjoyed it as much as I did. How's the Kermit and Friends Discord going? Anything happening in there?
It's pretty crazy. Last night, Bob was kicked out, as you well know. And so I hung out with him a little bit. Just because I felt, I understand why he was kicked, believe me, because he chases people away and he's a nightmare in there.
He does, yeah.
So it's been pretty mellow besides that, though, comparatively to the last couple of weeks. But everybody's a buzz about the toe guy, because the toe guy has been after you. And so a lot of
I forgot to bring that up. Thank you for bringing that up. So a lot of people have been swatted recently. What is being swatted, Weezy?
Well, I think traditionally being swatted would be calling in a fake crime that didn't happen, and then the SWAT team showing up with machine guns. I think that's traditionally what it means.
Yeah.
But now anytime somebody calls the cops on you and they come to your house for a fake crime, even if just one cop shows up, they're considering that, calling it a swatting. But it has been happening in our community, and for whatever reason, you of all people are being blamed for it.
Yeah, so I'm getting tons of tweets from all kinds of people blaming me for them being swatted. I would never do that. There's nothing in it for me at all. The people that are being swatted are just random people that have been on the show. It's just so not my cup of tea. So anybody that accuses me of swatting or being involved in a swatting, I just block that person or mute them immediately. So,
That's
for
a good
instance,
idea.
like Chrissy Mayer's producer wrote to me and he says, I'm not blaming you, but can you answer some questions about this? I go, no, I can't. No, I
That's
can't
so
answer any questions.
disappointing that people
Yeah,
like Chrissy
everybody's
Mayer.
retarded. No, Wheezy, everybody's
I
retarded. It
know.
turns out they're so stupid. Like, how dare you guys accuse me of swatting people and accuse me of like setting that up? There's nothing in that for me. I'm way too busy with my IRL. And I just feel like these people, like, are they like jealous? Is that like, why are they doing this?
I have a theory about the steel toe guy.
Yeah.
I think that this is like, he's pathetic. Like he's
Yeah.
boring. He's
Yeah.
horrible. He's got way too much confidence for who he appears to be.
Yeah.
I think this is a way to get your attention. I think he honestly wants
but
your
it's not
attention.
just him though. It's him and like 5 other people. Like, I mean, for Chrissy Mayer to like put me in a tweet about it. Like, I really admire how many shows she does. Like, she does like 3 shows a day, and I can't even handle really 1 a week, right? So I admire that about Chrissy Mayer. Her quantity. Her quantity is very good.
She's a hard worker. Yeah,
she's a hard worker. I'm not taking that away from her at all. She's a very hard worker. But for her to accuse me of like swatting her,
I know.
it's just so insane. I can't deal with people like that. I can't. I'm sorry. I have too much on my plate to deal with people and even to answer any questions about it. So anybody that writes to me about it, I'm just ignoring that person. What were you going to say?
Do they forget that you actually swatted before all of them? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Does it matter that you were swatted? I mean, before they were swatted, you were swatted. And so how could they even blame it on you? Instead of feeling sorry for you and, you know, talking to you about how it happened to you, they're just blaming you, which is so crazy, especially like Chrissy Mayer and Bob Levy being tagged in that. And then not defending you. Like,
Right. Because they cannot wait to have me be the guilty one. That's the thing. Like, they want me to be guilty. They want me to be the one that's in charge of the whole thing. So I'm just annoyed with everyone like that. So I admire the quantity of shows you have, but do not blame me for you getting swatted when I got swatted. And I don't even talk about it on Twitter because you have to be so dumb to talk about it on Twitter when you don't want something. Obviously, don't tweet about it constantly. You moron.
It kind of seems like they wanted it. And anybody that's been paying attention, everywhere Steel Toe was going, when they went on Chrissy's, Chrissy got swatted. When they went on Bob Levy's, Bob Levy got swatted. So if I was a detective, I wouldn't be looking at you. I'd be looking at those two who the swattings follow every fucking show they go to.
Exactly. So and then Bob Levy tweets, he goes, "Oh, after all I've done for you." And, or like after how nice I was to you. It's like, are you like, how slow adult are you? Like, how are you like, I feel like all these comedian people are like slow adults. So I'm just not dealing with them.
It's very unfair.
It's very like, it's just unbelievable. Charmin has her mouth open. What, Charmin?
What the heck happened?
So I'm being blamed for all these
former guests are getting swatted by the people that are swatting you.
So I don't know who it is. Wheezy doesn't know who it is. I don't know who it is. Nobody knows who it is, Charmin. Nobody knows. And it's just...
If they're following you. Are they part of the IP2 community? Is that when all that stuff showed up?
I'll tell you something. The IP2 community is like a lot better than some other communities. They're very nice and they're very giving and they're very generous and they're nice. I actually like them way better than some of the Howard Stern people. I hate to say it. I hate to say that.
Look, I've had some Howard Stern people experiences, so you're allowed to have your opinion. I welcome it. But I'm more worried about the swatting people and the toe. What's his name? I
don't know. Some stupid toe. But the thing is, Charmin, is that the thing is, like, when I got swatted, it was really like okay. It's like they sent a cop to my place.
Welfare check, right?
It was a welfare check. And the cop was very cute. And I was just like, hey, I do a blog. And, it's just part of it. If you're going to be in the public, you have to be ready for whatever. If you're going to be running for politics, Charmin, if you're going to be running a podcast, if you're going to be doing IRL, you kind of have to be ready for, like there's very good things that come with that. And there's some bad things. Yes, they sent a cop to my house. Yes, that did happen.
The houses of your former guests.
No, but it's just comedians. It's like comedians. It's like a lot of comedians, like podcast people.
So they're targeting people they think will have a sense of humor about it and will play along? What?
I don't know who they're really targeting. I don't know who they're targeting, but they're just trying to get attention. And that's what everybody's giving them so much attention about this. They're making full shows about me, saying that I'm behind all this. I'm not behind any of this. I'm concentrating on who I'm live streaming with next. That's where I'm making money right now. So that's where my concentration is. If I thought about swatting all day and made shows about swatting and blame people, it's just like, I just don't feel like that is where I'm best suited, where I can excel the most. I think I can excel interviewing people. I think that I can excel, going on the street, man on the street stuff, being creative, that kind of thing. That's what I want to focus on. I do not want to focus on all these tweets pointed in my direction, people like trying to take people down. I cannot stand that. It is so stupid, like a bunch of losers. And it sucks because I thought Chrissy Mayer was a very hard worker, and I like that about her. And it's nice to see someone work that hard. There's so many shows in a row. It's hard to do so many shows in a row. So I admire that. That does not, this does not take away from that, but I am disappointed that people would just listen to some tiny guy like this guy, Toe. He has nothing going on. He's never done anything ever like of any relevance. So I can't even tell you who he is. And he's blaming me and people are listening to him.
I don't know what to do about this, but the Toe guy's got to go. Right?
Yeah,
Toe's got
Toe
to
guy's
go.
gotta go.
Whoever
Yeah.
Toe is showing up, and the more we talk about him, the worse he's going to be. And it's probably a really good
Exactly.
time for the show to go on a break, honestly,
Exactly.
because you need to figure this out. You need to figure out how to weed out the Toe guys before they run off all your potential guests.
They won't. They
Toe's
won't.
gotta go.
Toe's gotta go.
He's failed.
Toe.
We need the guys in the Discord chat to clean up the toe jobs. Can we send them somewhere with Bob? No, on second thought, we don't want them to become friends with Bob. That will actually multiply the bad toe business.
We don't need any
toe jam.
We don't need any bad toe jam at all. We have great guests lined up. Eric, stop calling me because I can't see you when you call me. Okay, I want to tell Eric about our first guest today, an incredible guest that we have. This is a very successful, award-winning Canadian actress, a writer, a producer, a director, and a published author. Her first novel is Year of the What. It's a #1 Amazon best-selling novel and winner of multiple awards. She has over 30 international acting stage credits and runs a vlog on YouTube. Oh, that's what I do. On her own, where she interviews fellow authors. Eric, hey.
Hey, Elisa. I just wanted to invite you. Elaine and I are going to visit San Diego when I come visit town in February 1st. And I wanted to invite you to come to San Diego with us. What do you think?
That sounds like a great idea, Eric. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're very welcome. And I can't believe these swatting things. When I saw that your sister's place was swatted, like, how do they even get their addresses?
Exactly, Eric. It was very upsetting, but that's just part of this. People have to be like strong. They can't be a bunch of weak pussies. Honestly, that's what they've been. And I don't like, it's just pathetic. I don't know. I don't want any part of it.
And thank you for doing all of this. It makes such a huge difference in my life, being able to clue into your live streams. They're so much fun, and just thank you so much for creating this huge community. It gives definitely a lot of meaning to our lives. And like I was telling Elaine the other day, she said, you're a celebrity too. And I said, I'm just along for the ride. And she goes, Elisa's really the captain of the ship. She's really the one steering us here. So thank you for that. And good job making it through Thanksgiving. Those can be dreadful,
Thank you, Eric. Okay, so Eric, hold on to your hats because we have a very amazing woman on the show today, Jennifer Lieberman.
Hello. Hi, Elisa. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here and chat with you today.
Yes, so you are very successful. You're award-winning as an actress. Growing up in Canada, when did you first start acting?
I didn't start acting until I was in college. That's when I first started taking acting classes. My parents weren't really into it. Like, I always expressed an interest, but they were just like, no, it's not what you're going to do.
What did they want? What did they want?
I think they wanted me to do something like more stable, like most parents, right? It's not even that they didn't want me to be happy. They just, life in the arts is very unpredictable. And
that's true.
think Yeah, so they just wanted me to have like, more stability, and I totally appreciate that, but it also wasn't what I was made for. So when I was in college, I was teaching gymnastics on the side. I was a competitive gymnast for many years, and was able to pay for my own acting classes, and that's also how I saved up to move to New York after college, which is where I really started.
Okay, then how do you start? Because a lot of people watching right now, want to be in acting, and it just seems so hard. And it's like, how do you even break into that at all? Like, what was your journey in New York?
Okay, so the acting studio I was studying at in Toronto was teaching method acting from a school in New York. So when I was 18, I did like the summer intensive program at the school in New York and auditioned to be a full-time student there. I got in, but I deferred, and I agreed with my parents that I would get my degree first. And then enroll back at the school. However, I was very naive, thinking that I could like swing tuition and living in New York and all of that stuff on my own right out of college. It just wasn't realistic. I had interned at a rehearsal facility. It was called Raw Space. So the summer that I was there when I was 18, I was kind of like running around and showing people rehearsal studios and, whether people needed like a piano or a mirrored wall to learn choreography. So I contacted the guy that ran that place. So I secured a job and I had that for when I moved. But literally I like packed a bag and was like, I'm here. And that's basically how I started. Like, in hindsight, today it would be very different because today everything is online. There's a lot of casting sites. You can even do acting classes on Zoom with acting teachers in New York and LA. Like even if you're from some small town or if you're not in the US or Canada, you can still have access. So I think it would be very different if I was starting off today, just because how everything has exploded online. But basically I just showed up.
You just showed up.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, how long does it take to get like a break?
Oh, it took a long time. It definitely took a long time. And basically like I really didn't have a break until I created my own solo show. And that's kind of what opened doors for me, because also when you're starting out, you're kind of a victim of what people pick you for. And when you have no experience and nobody can reference your work, like, oh, you were in that movie or that soap opera or that commercial, nobody knows what you're capable of. You don't really have a chance to show what you're made of.
Right. So they don't recognize you from anything. It's just a brand new person. So did that like mess with your emotions at all? Were you like sad, depressed, anything?
Yeah, it got frustrating. Like I was fortunate. I got in with a couple of theater companies when I was in New York. So I was with a mime company and I learned how to
you were a mime?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Was that like a very low point?
No, you know what? It was not a low point at all, because they paid us for training. They trained us 2 rehearsals a week and we got to do shows. This company was funded by the National Endowment for the Arts. It had been around for 50 years, and it wasn't French pantomime. It was its own kind of version of silent performance. And I have to say, it was one of the most valuable tools and skills that I collected along the way. Especially fast forward to a few years later, I'm doing a one-woman show and I'm playing 10 distinctly different characters. And I'm able to physically embody the characters and distinctly show the audience I'm somebody different before I even open my mouth or start talking with a different voice or a different accent. So it was incredible training. And I think I'm as versatile and fluid as I am as a performer because of that foundation.
Wow. Okay. So when you did your one-woman show, what started happening then?
So first of all, I call it magic in the living room because I realized I was better than I thought, you know, in terms of coming up with these characters. And I'd start writing some dialogue or start writing things, and then the voice would come out and the physicality would come out. And I was like, oh, wow, where did that come from? Like, wow, I can do that. I didn't know I could do this. And basically giving myself the freedom without any boundaries to create something. I was more fulfilled doing that and creating this piece by myself than I had been cumulatively all the years prior of trying to get a foot in the door.
Because and why is that though? Is it because like it was coming from you? And when you're auditioning for something, it's like someone else's brain?
Well, not just that. It's, you know, when you're starting out, the roles are few and far between. You don't get to show what you're made of. You know, a lot of times you're just saying one or two lines as yourself. You don't really get to go through that transformation. You don't get to work on the accents. You don't get to work on the nuances. So for the first time, I felt creatively fulfilled in a way I had never felt before. And this was even before I got to rehearsals or hired the director or made it to the stage. So it was a very like transformative experience. And that's when I realized I didn't want to waste any more of my precious time trying to open a door or get a foot in the door. And I was just going to focus on creating my own projects. And that's what I've been doing for the past decade since I wrote that show. And I did a web series with a friend, which was like a total flop, but one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I've made 2 short films. They've both screened at the Festival de Cannes, Court-Métrage, like so short film corner at the Cannes Film Festival, among other international festivals. And the One Woman Show is now a #1 best-selling novel on Amazon and has won 5 literary awards in the past year.
Wow. Okay, so that was your book.
So the show is called. So the show is called Year of the Slut. And yeah. And I initially published it with the original title, and all the bots on social media and Amazon censored the book. So,
it was originally called Year of the Slut. And what inspired you to write that?
It was about like my first year after my first big breakup. And I was 25. And I think once a lot of women kind of hit 25, or the year after their first big breakup, there's kind of like this sexual awakening or this like aha moment of we don't have to buy into like the misogynistic narrative about women and promiscuity or experimenting and things like that.
And that year, like how did that year go for you? Because I mean, that does sound like a fun year.
Yeah, definitely. So it was loosely based on my life. And then, like I said, I started creating all of these characters, you know, to make it interesting. And my 1 year wasn't as exciting as the play or then the book. They kept taking on lives of their own. I borrowed stories from friends to make it like super dramatic and outrageous and of course embellished and stuff. But it was funny. I was working in a restaurant in New York and I was in my early 20s. And I had only been with one guy. I was living with my boyfriend at the time. Yeah. And one of the chefs in the restaurant, you know, we became friendly and we'd always chat and stuff. And he would just say to me like, you haven't hit 25 yet. Just wait. Just wait till you hit 25.
Wait.
And you're going to lose a lot of your inhibitions. Because you know, like the relationship, I was starting to kind of outgrow the person that I was with, because that's what happens when you're in your early 20s and you're with somebody for a few years. Well, it doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to some of us, right? We grow in different directions. So I was starting to outgrow the relationship. And the chef just was saying to me like, oh, just wait. Just wait.
So you just wanted to listen to that chef? Like he thought?
No, I didn't think he knew what he was talking about. But then I went through the experience of, you know, going through that transition myself. And I was like, oh, this is what he was talking about.
Yeah. So, okay, so does that like get attracted to you, or do you have to go out there?
I think it's a combination, right? It's like energetically, whatever we're putting out is what we're attracting into our lives.
Yeah.
So if you are putting out this adventurous, free spirit, kind of outrageous energy, you are going to attract those experiences. Whereas before that, I was like super buttoned up, very conservative, had a very closed-minded idea of what sex and love and relationships were. And in the book and the play, my roommate is one of the characters that I played, and the other main character of the book. And it's based on my real roommate who was super free sexually, and she actually became a dominatrix in a dungeon in Chelsea while we were living together. And I was always kind of like deer in the headlights. She'd bring girls home, she'd bring guys home.
Oh, I had a roommate like that too.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
So funny. I had a roommate just like that. So did she bring the guys home and the girls home for you?
No. Like I'm just saying, like, she was bi, she experimented with drugs, she experimented with sex, she became a dominatrix, and this was all stuff that I was witnessing. And, I was in a serious relationship, and then I ended up moving in with the guy. So it's not something that I was experiencing firsthand.
Oh, but you saw it.
But I saw that. And then I guess once I broke up and moved back in with her, I was more open to having some of those crazier experiences.
It's so weird. Like, it's just coming back to me now. Like, I had this roommate, and she was like a model and a makeup artist, and she was so wild.
Yes.
And she like had so much fun with it. But I was curious, like, if she was depressed by it at all, because like I feel empty. Like, say I hook up with someone, right? Which is very rare these days. Say I hook up with someone, and then like, it gets like weird afterwards, and then it's like awkward, and then it goes downhill. Like, I don't want that.
No, not at all. But also, it depends at what stage you are in your life. It depends what you're looking for, for this story, the character is just out of a 4-year relationship. She's never
so she just wants to have fun. She just
wants to have fun. Yeah.
And is that fun? Does it end up fun, or can it end up badly?
Well, there's a lot of ups and downs, that's the journey of it.
Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes you lose like self-worth a little bit.
Yes, but also it depends why you're doing it. If you're doing it because you want the guy to like you and you want him to be your boyfriend and he's not interested in that, then yes, you're going to get hurt. If you're doing it because you want to experiment and you want to fulfill a need, and it has nothing to do with him giving something back to you, then it's a very different circumstance. So you just have to be clear on your intentions. Like, if you're looking for a boyfriend, and this, it's hard too, because they say, like, if you hook up with a guy too soon, then he's not going to respect you. But there are a lot of people I know that hooked up on the first date and they're married and they have kids now. You know what I mean? So I don't think there really are rules, or as much as there are rules, there's just as many exceptions to the rule. But yes, I agree with what you're saying for sure. Like, if you're looking for affection and you're looking for like a real connection, then don't run around hooking up with random guys.
Okay, let's ask a guy's opinion. Actually, let's ask a couple guys' opinions.
Sure.
Let's go to everybody. Just sit tight. Wheezy, what do you think about what Jen is saying?
Well, I mean, I feel like that when it's up to an individual, everybody has different goals and they want different things. And so as long as it's not harmful, if you're not leaving like a path of destruction behind you, I don't see anything wrong with like finding out who you are, especially after a long relationship and something like that.
It's casual, but is there ever a time when both people want the same thing? I mean, I've never been in that.
I think that's pretty
pretty
rare.
I don't think it's ever okay to use somebody.
Yeah, don't use
somebody. As long as you're upfront about what you want and what you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Let's ask Andy here. Andy, what do you think about this conversation? Do you think it's okay to have the Year of the Slut? Jen has a book, Year of the Slut. What do you think about that?
The biggest slut that I've ever known was a woman named Jen. And I've met thousands of women. So I like you very much. I think you're intelligent. I think you're attractive. I think you're well-spoken. I think women could be sluts as much as they want. I mean, it's empowering for a woman to, you know, she can, if she's a slut, she kind of takes like some of the control the dude has away by putting her on a pedestal, you know, like if you're a slut, you can't really be you kind of like own yourself. You can't be held to like some high fictional standard. Like you can't look at guys. You can't never fuck nobody else. Like I wouldn't want to fuck no chick that was like brand new, you know, like never been with nobody, first time falling in love. Like I wouldn't want that emotional hang up. I would be out there. I would actually rather meet sluts. You know, Elisa, what you ever tell your friend about you and Captain Content hooking up?
Why would I tell her about that?
That's your relatable experience. That's your hookup story. Hey, Jen, Elisa, she's been on this famous show, Howard Stern, before. She went all the way from the ranks to Howard Stern. She went down to 11 rings on the ladder. She hooked up with a short little Spanish bisexual midget, and she let him lick her vagina one time. After one lick, she stopped the escapades because she just like froze up, got frigid and whatnot. Do you have any opinions? What do you think Elisa stopped the Spanish midget bisexual little dwarf from giving her, satisfaction?
I think a woman is allowed to say no at any time if she's no longer into it. And, you know, maybe she was into it when they began and then she had a change of heart. And I think that's completely acceptable.
Also,
absolutely.
Andy, you're not explaining it right. That's not, he's way off, Jen. What happened was that I didn't know the guy well enough to be in that situation with him. I wanted to get to know him better and see what his intentions were. I found out his intention was not to have a relationship. So I don't want to be hooking up with people that don't want a relationship with me. That is not what I want.
That's exactly where I'm at in my life now as well. Like I'm not
you ladies
in hooking up anymore. But also what I want to make clear is like, it's called Year of the Slut, but it's taking the word slut from the point of view of a girl who only thought she'd ever be with one man. So anything more than one man in her own psyche was being a slut. So it's basically redefining the word for a very sheltered, yet naive girl. It's not, it's not basically saying like, yes, go jump on everything. Go jump on every dick you can find. Like that's
a super slut. There's levels. There's a slut. There's a super slut, super Saiyan slut. Like you just go higher.
But also it's deconstructing a word that's weaponized against women.
I knew a chick.
Whenever someone wants to attack a woman, there are very specific words they use. And if a woman is in her teens and 20s, the go-to word is slut.
That's
regardless of whether or not she's promiscuous or not. So I wrote a book about feminism, a sex positive book about female sexuality that's deconstructing a word that's weaponized against us. And that has been weaponized against us since the dawn of time. And it has to do with males wanting to have control over women. Okay, absolutely. So males want to control what women do. They want to control our uterus. They want to control our right to choose. They want to control how many partners we've had before we partner with them, and they're going to judge us based on that. They're going to judge our value.
Why though? What is that? Is that just like insecurity? What makes the dude like most guys? What makes most guys like that? They compare themselves.
I don't know, but
because you ladies aren't really like that, are you? You're not. You like that, Elisa? Y'all women aren't really like that. You don't like look at a dude and has he fucked 5 ladies? Has he fucked 40 ladies? Like you don't really.
I mean, we don't want him to be promiscuous. Currently,
but Elisa, I can't even. Elisa and promiscuous, whatever the word is. You're disqualified from the conversation because.
Why am I disqualified for this?
He had a cross-dressing 400-pound man give him head on a public sidewalk in Los Angeles in the middle of a weeknight on a street where little kids are riding by in cars, looking out their apartment windows. Where you can't really, you should do your research, Elisa. Jiminy Christmas. You literally hooked up with the biggest pervert ever, and now you're worried about who's promiscuous.
Yeah, but now you're slut shaming her, like for absolutely no reason.
This is the problem, Jen. This is why you had to write
This
this
is
book.
exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. This is
God
why this book.
forbid, God forbid a woman makes a choice, tries something, decides it's not for her, and Andy, you're like intent on shaming her, for the first 10 minutes that we've been having this discourse. You're intent on shaming her for a decision she made that she's not necessarily, happy to talk about. You're not reflecting the story the way that she would convey the story.
Exactly.
You're not letting her tell her side of the story. Meanwhile, you find this a valid reason to shame her, and you're considering her less than because of a decision she made in her past. And you don't know what mental state she was in. You don't know what emotional state she was in. There might have been a lot of other things going on in her life.
Is there ever a mental or emotional state that makes it okay for you to get your dick sucked on a sidewalk on a weeknight in front of kids and old women on a public street?
I would say no, but there are a lot of people.
Thank you. At least you're intelligent. You don't have to make believe land where that's okay. So that's the type of guy that Elisa hooks up with. You're very intelligent. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Elisa, you don't look bad, but you have the brain of like a peanut. So sharpen up a little bit. Please catch up. You're looking like a tomato.
Okay. Why? Why do you let him speak?
I just try to let everybody have a voice, but so he's judging me based off of one thing that I did in my whole life, and he's judging that person, and I just think that's very wrong to shame somebody for their choices and who they've been with. And he didn't understand the situation at all. Yeah. So I mean, this is everything that's wrong with a lot of men today. And women slut shame too.
Oh, we slut shame way more than men do. We are actually the worst ones at it. Like, and like Andy said, a lot of guys like a slut, like they're into it.
They do, but then it's confusing. Do they like them or not? Because I mean, in the beginning, Andy was saying he does like sluts, and then at the end, he's slut shaming me. So, I mean, which is it?
The thing is,
can we ever be good enough, Jen?
We're always going to be not enough or too much of something because we're women. That's just the lives that we lead, right? Like, it doesn't matter.
I really think that we cannot win.
No, we can't. We're constantly going to be criticized.
We're constantly going to be criticized.
And judged and shamed.
And judged and shamed no matter what. Unless I think the one kind of woman that is not shamed is someone like married with children.
Yep.
They're not typically. Are you married, Jen?
No, not yet.
Okay. So you're not married. Okay. So the type of woman that I think there's like one type that everybody is kind of okay with. And that's a woman and they don't care if she works or not. That, as long as she's in a family, that woman's okay. But everybody else, we have to be so careful of who we're with and what our choices are, what we do. But you're too old to do this. Oh, you can't do IRL. You can't do a podcast. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're too old. You're too this. You're too that. You don't look good enough. It's like you're never enough.
Well, I was going to say, even women who are like married with kids, do they work? Oh, well, they spend all their time working and they're not a good enough mom because they, they need a nanny or they need help or they don't have help and the kids don't get enough attention. And, the kids are on their own after school for several hours, or the mom doesn't work. And it's like, oh, she's so lazy. Like being a mom isn't that hard. Like, why didn't she go back to work after the kids were in school?
Yes.
Like, I hear it from every angle. I have a lot of friends who are moms, who are wives. Some of them work, some of them don't work, some of them have help, some of them don't have help. And, because I'm not in the mix, like I'm not married with kids yet. I'd like to be one day, but, I'll hear it from each end. And it's like, the moms that work are a little jealous of the moms that don't work. The moms that don't work are jealous that the moms that work have their own money and don't have to rely on their husband and justify their expenses, or if they want to go and splurge on a pair of shoes or a handbag or whatever. Like, I think being a woman is just hard.
It really is. I'm so happy that you're saying that. I'm so happy that you're saying that, because like, you know, you're obviously a very attractive, intelligent woman.
Thank
and
you.
people think that we have, and I'd like to put myself in that category. You know, people think that we have it so easy and that things are handed to us, but I think it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, I think we do need to work harder. I think women in general need to work harder than men to, you know, get the same recognition or the same pay rate or, you know, whatever you want to call it. But you know, and that's kind of what pushed me to, you know, not to bring it back to the book, but I'm going to, because that's what pushed me, because I just wanted to kind of tackle an issue that was a really big issue for me. And, you know, at the time that I wrote it, like,
and the issue was what? The pain
well,
that you felt?
The issue was like, why is it men are allowed to go out and try every flavors and figure it out before they make a final decision
and get applauded for it and celebrated for it? The more women that a man has, it's like, oh, this guy's so great.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, a lot of women are attracted to a man who's like a player, you know, whereas for women, it's the total opposite. It's like, why is our value based on, you know, our virginity or lack of partners? You know, why are there honor killings in the Middle East if like a female disrespects her male relatives? You know, like, this is a huge thing. And, you know, in the West, we've definitely like come leaps and strides from where they are in different parts of the world. But, you know, this is an issue. It's still an issue. And of course, the issue is we're the ones who end up with the repercussions. You know, women are the ones who get pregnant. We're the ones who make the difficult decisions. We're the ones more susceptible to STIs and STDs just because the nature of our anatomy.
And we can actually die if we get certain ones, like the HPV.
Yep, HPV.
So if you have sex, so a lot of men don't know this, but if we have sex with the wrong man that has HPV, we can get HPV, get cancer, and die.
Yep. And men don't even know if they have HPV or not because they're asymptomatic carriers of it. Yeah.
That's right. And then on top of that, so if you think about it, every man that you're sexual with, you have to put a lot of thought into that, because is this man worth dying for? If he's not willing to marry me, no, he's not worth dying for. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, there's the issue of a lot of times nowadays, you know, so many people are having unprotected sex. And like, I actually, this is in the book, but that summer that I was in New York when I was 18, I rented a room, and the guy's boyfriend had AIDS, was a gay guy who had AIDS. And it was funny because that summer they were like so shocked that I was like this naive virgin from Canada. And they were trying to like encourage me to like be promiscuous and like have fun and, you know, whatever. And I'm just like, you have AIDS. You know, and that kind of like scared me into always being really careful. And, you know, it wasn't just about birth control. It wasn't just about pregnancy. It was about like always having protected sex, like always.
Yeah, because you can also die during childbirth. I mean, that's another thing. So we're risking our lives in many ways just to like please this person. So, I mean, your great year, you were 26 during that year, right?
Yeah, 25, just on the cusp.
Okay, so sorry, 25. So how many men were in that year, that 25 year, 25th year?
2.
Yeah,
in the book, there's more. In the book, I don't want to say what numbers in the book, but for me, yeah. And
wait, your year of the slut was 2?
Well, compared to that was doubling, that was tripling my number.
How could that be tripling the number when it's 2?
Because prior to that, I'd only been with one person. So by the end of that year, my number went up to 3.
I don't know about the name of this book, Jen.
Well, no, like I said, that was my personal experience. The book has a lot more stories.
Oh, okay, so this is a fictional book.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, it's fictional.
Yeah. So the story came from like my experience, and then like I said, the show, I created all these crazy characters to showcase my acting talent. I played 10 different characters.
Oh, you
different
did?
ages, different
Aw.
accents, you know, playing dudes, playing women, you know, playing all these different people.
So this book is your fantasy. This is nothing you've done.
Certain parts of it, they're like seeds, kernels of truth that like grew into something, you know, major. But no, it's not a memoir. It's fiction.
All right. So how's your dating life now? How's it going?
Good. I'm seeing somebody.
You're seeing somebody?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's great. All right. So let's take some questions. You're
Yeah,
obviously
totally.
awesome. You're so successful. Jake Hudson, you're on with Jen Lieberman.
Hi, Jake.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. By the way, Lisa, great show.
Thank you.
You always do good shows. Number one, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
That's okay. Take your time.
Don't be nervous.
Yeah, don't be nervous.
Lisa, excuse the shirt I'm wearing. Excuse the shirt. They talked about you this week, but
wait, you're wearing a steel toe shirt on my show? The steel toe is a show that hates me. Why are you wearing that shirt, Jake?
They hate me too, but I wear it because it's a good it's a comfortable shirt. I'm sorry.
All right.
Listen, here's the thing. I was going to burn it, and people were telling me not to burn these shirts because they're the ones that blocked me first.
Okay, so think of a question. We have an award-winning actress here, an author. She wrote a great book. Okay, what's your question for her?
Number one, how many shows have you done?
Yeah, so theater. I've done quite a bit of theater. I've done more of that than anything else in terms of performance.
Yeah.
And then I've made 2 short films that are my own that I wrote, produced, starred in. And I also have a web series that I did that I mentioned before. It was a total flop called Dump Water Divas.
So, you know, how do you make this profitable? What's the most profitable way? Is it a web series? Is it a short film?
So no, the short films were just kind of showcase pieces and gearing up. So my next project is a feature film that I'm going to be directing. I'm in the process of raising money for the film. And I also have a consulting business called Make Your Own Break. Okay. And I have a couple books published under that company. One of them is also a #1 bestseller. And Make Your Own Break is how I help other frustrated actors and writers create vehicles for themselves. And because I figured out with my own one-woman show that the answer to breaking into the business was having autonomy over my work and being able to be the creator of my own destiny.
So don't wait around.
So no, don't wait around.
Discover you. Exactly. That might never happen. So do not wait for like a producer. You know, we put these people on these high pedestals, like producers and directors. When am I going to be discovered? You know, that just kind of like doesn't happen that much. So you have to do it yourself and then have the people really come to you instead of you going after people.
Yeah. Or also when you have an opportunity to network with people, whether you're at a film festival or at an event, you have something to talk about. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going on auditions and, you know, I had a few lines on this TV show and I've, you know, reoccurred on this soap opera and whatever. Mark Duplass, who, you know, the Duplass brothers, they're filmmakers, producers, you know, he's done a few talks, and on one of his talks, he talks about like when he meets actors at film festivals and stuff, he's not interested in talking to people who are just acting. You know, he'd rather work with people who are creators because sure, so many of us, our dream is just to get the big role, show up, know our lines, you know, go to hair and makeup, hang out in our trailer, and then, you know, get to set and get to do what we were, you know, made to do. And like, you know, hit it out of the park, do a stellar performance for like some great role. But the reality is, it takes so much work to get to that point.
Yes.
And if you're not creating your own opportunities for yourself, you know, and especially now, everybody who has a smartphone or a computer can be a filmmaker. You know, every single one
Yes.
of our devices has a camera, has editing software, has filters. You know, like
Yes.
there's no excuse now for not creating your own content. And that's the thing, you don't have to do something major. But over the past several years, since I started my one woman show, I'm starting to create a body of work for myself. You know, and each one gets better. Like I've said several times, like Dumpwater Divas, my web series, was a total flop. I had the best time of my life doing it.
Why do you consider that a flop?
Oh, because it's been online for almost 10 years and has like barely, you know, like a few hundred views. Like, meanwhile, the trailer for my short film Leash, which is like a 30-second trailer with like nothing on it, has like well over 100,000 views and has been up for just a couple years. You know what I mean? So creatively, it wasn't a flop at all. But in terms of getting people to tune in, like nobody was interested. But, you know, with each one, you get better and you learn lessons. And then, you know, my friend Rebecca and I did the web series together, and then we made a short film together. And then Monica from my web series is in one of my short films. Francisco from the series is in a different short film. And that's how you figure out who your tribe is and who your team is and who your people are.
You have to collaborate with the right people.
Yeah.
And I believe once you start putting things out there, those people do come to you.
They do. If you build it, they will come, you know, but you have to be building something. And, you know, at this stage of the game, people know that I always have something on the go. I'm always creating something, and people want to be a part of that, and they want to be a part of that energy. This week alone, I've had 4 colleagues who are film friends call me for advice on publishing books, you know, and that's the whole thing. And it's like, okay, they'll call me because, you know, they need help with something, and then I'll call them because I need help. And if you look at some of like the biggest, most successful filmmakers out there, Judd Apatow's always working with the same team. You know, Ron Howard, how many times has he made films with Tom Hanks? Like, you know, like, or Rob Reiner and, you know, Castle Rock, like they're constantly feeding from the same kind of pool of people, because you develop a rapport, you develop an unspoken language, you develop a trust. And these are people who have like come up together over decades of time, you know, and so of course those are going to be their go-to people.
Yes. And then when those authors contact you, this is something else I'm curious about, the book world. Do you recommend to people that want to write books for them to self-publish or try to get like a publishing deal?
Well, it all depends on the goals, you know, so it really depends on your goals, what you're trying to do with the book. And there's actually a colleague of mine wrote a guide. It's called The Memoir Midwife. And I recommend everybody, when they come to me, that's like the #1 resource I tell people to go out and get. And it's by a woman named Stacey Domowski. She's a best-selling author. She's a WGA writer. She writes for film and TV. She's super talented. And she actually teaches courses at like Pasadena College, Glendale College. And I recommend to read her book because she kind of breaks it down, the differences of going after a traditional publisher or going the self-publishing route. And you know, obviously going after traditional publisher is much harder. And it just depends what kind of connections you have. Do you have a literary agent?
Well, because
you have
will
access
your book
to
get lost? Is it easy to have your book get lost with all the other books, like on Amazon, if you don't have that big money behind you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So everything is kind of a case by case thing. You know, and if you have the right kind of strategy, the right marketing team, the right publicist, the right people around you.
But you have to pay for that publicist yourself if you don't have a deal. So that's the thing, guys. If you want to write books and to get your book out there, you know, they pay. When you go to like a, you know, Barnes and Noble, there's like a section where like the big hot books are. And I don't think you could get to that section unless you pay big money or you have a major publishing house behind you.
So that major publishing house is going to print off a certain number of books, usually over 10,000 books, because that's how you get a #1 New York Times status. You sell over 10,000 books in a week or a certain period of time. That's how you become New York Times #1 bestseller.
Okay.
And a lot of times these publishing companies are the ones paying for those big print runs. They place them strategically, you know, all over the country, not just the Barnes and Noble, but the Walmarts and the Targets and the mom and pop shops. And guess what?
What?
Whatever books are not sold within 6 months to a year are sent back to the publisher, and the publisher charges the author for those books.
Oh, wow. So you got to just do everything to try to sell that book.
Yeah. So I have a literary publicist.
Okay.
And he has over a dozen New York Times bestseller, #1 New York Times bestsellers, #1 USA Today bestsellers, and several of them are with traditional publishers. They're still paying out of pocket for their own publicist. You know, and they're
so
still
if you write a book, you guys, it might cost you money.
Even if you have a traditional publisher, because the chances of rising to the top, you know, it's like the usual suspects, you know, it's like the same few authors that are constantly on the #1 seller list. It's it's like this club, you know, and so for me, I had given up on the book. I had written it. There was a lot of momentum. I won an award for the one woman show. I wrote it. I tried to get traditional publishing. I was sending query letters. I was going to literary agents. I was doing all of that. And I got really discouraged and I gave up on it. And then I realized, like, oh, wait a second, girl, maybe you need an editor. Like maybe you need to do some of the professional things people do. See, because I was naive. And I thought, well, you get the publisher first and then the editor is linked to the publisher. They assign an editor to your manuscript or this or that or whatever. So I hired an editor that I met through a friend. She was the wrong fit. She tore me a new one, couldn't look at the manuscript for almost 2 years. So it was like a really long process of getting this book out because I had literally given up on it 3 times, where I was just so discouraged and so disheartened. And I was just like, forget it, you know? And in the interim, I do a web series or make a short film and get to go to Cannes or, you know, get to do a play or, you know, focus on something else. And it was my old boyfriend who said to me, I mentioned like, oh yeah, you know, so many pieces of writing I've written are just sitting and collecting dust, like so many screenplays, because screenplays take millions of dollars to make, or at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he was like, wait, you wrote a novel? Like, what do you mean you wrote a novel? And I was like, yeah. He's like, let me read it. And I was like, no, it's terrible. It's not worthwhile. Like, it's done. And he actually read the whole thing. And he's like, this is actually really good. And
oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, this is good. And I don't think you should give up on this. And he convinced me to self-publish it with 0 goals and 0 expectations. And the whole mindset that I went through, I hired another editor, a proofreader. I put the right team together with his encouragement. And basically he said, just make it to the finish line. Don't worry about anything. This is a great boyfriend.
Wait, this is an ex-boyfriend?
Yeah.
This is a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We're still very good friends. So he was the one who convinced me, just make it to the finish line, have 0 expectations. Don't worry about what happens next. Just finish it for your own self-satisfaction that it's complete. He's like, because chances are most of the scripts you've written are never going to get finished. They're never going to get made. That's just the reality of writing movies. But he's like, this is something that you can actually finish on your own. And it was through his encouragement and support that I was able to like push myself and muster up the courage to put it out there. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally did, it was censored. It was censored by all the bots on social media
because of the word slut. Okay.
Yes. So then I did kind of grapple with like, what do I do now?
Yeah, you
And
must have felt
Stacey
so upset by
Demalski,
that.
yeah, and Stacey, who wrote the memoir Midwife, had become a good friend of mine. I met her because I read the book and I hired her for a consultation before I published the first version of the book with the original title. Yes. And she was the one that after about a year of being dead in the marketplace, she suggested, well, why don't you change the title? Like, if that's the only thing keeping you, she's like, it's a good book. There's no reason why you can't sell it. So she was the one who convinced me to retitle it. And then, then I found a publicist, and with his help and his guidance, we were able to put the right marketing team together. And I submitted for a bunch of literary awards. I've ended up winning 5 of them. I won the gold medal at the Global Book Awards for coming of age books, the Independent Publishing Award, bronze medal for romance/erotica books, Literary Titan Silver Award. I run Scribblesworth book reviews, best rom-com of 2021. Like, so yes, you have to have a good product in the first place, but you also have to have like the right strategy and the right team around you in order to get recognition. And, my publicist has just been really fabulous, and he believes in me, and he's really helped me because like, I don't know the literary world. I wouldn't even know what awards to submit to or what marketing team to hire.
Yeah, you need great people. That's what you need. You need to realize who's great, who to work with. That's a very complex part. I'm going through that right now as well. It's like sometimes you just don't know, but you got to try people out. Jimmy Rizzo, you have a question for Jen?
Hello there. Yeah, Jen, it's nice to see you, right? But listen.
Hi, Jimmy.
Maybe you need to meet people and maybe talk more to people, because you more or less just tell everybody your life story. I mean, come on, Jen. What's up? I mean, do you talk to people? Do you get out much? I mean, what do you do with your life?
I don't understand the question.
I think you need to talk more to people, actually, one-on-one, because you more or less tell your life story just now to Elisa.
What do you mean, Jimmy? I don't know. I don't understand.
I mean, I'm not, listen, she looks like a lovely person. I'm not being funny or anything, but I think she needs to get out more into the world and smell the real grass, what really goes on.
She probably does.
She's just the concept of being real. Listen, Jen, if you want to talk about things, I've got good ears and I like to talk to people. Like, what's your problem? I mean, she's stuck for words there now, aren't she?
What do you mean? What's Jen, my problem? I don't know what you're asking me.
What's the question?
I don't know, really. I'm just being normal, just being normal, relax, take a deep breath and talk.
Talk about what?
You more or less told me your life story right there.
No, I don't think so at all.
I'm not trying to be funny with you, Jen, but you seem like a nice lady. But I think you seem to be ahead of yourself, if you know what I mean. Calm down a little.
Myself in what way?
She's just talking about her book. Jimmy, she has a book and a very successful acting career.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my career. I don't understand. I haven't really given you any information about my life.
Americans, compared to the English, take things to the extreme, don't you not think? Whereas the English are more like...
I'm Canadian. I'm not American. I'm Canadian.
Oh, you're Canadian. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah. I mean,
Do you have to deal with people like this? Do authors deal with criticism as much as like podcast people do?
I don't know. I've definitely come across some bad reviews, but I've never, I don't know. I don't deal with much criticism.
Okay. All right. So here's the Swedes. The Swedes you're on with Jen Lieberman.
Yeah. The name of your book was what again?
Year of the what? It was originally Year of the Slut, but it was going to be Year.
Well, what was may I ask the sluttiest thing in the book or the sluttiest thing that you were part of?
Oh no, you're gonna have to read the book for
Read the
that.
book
I don't
for
give
it?
that away for free.
Okay. No, I just
That
wondered.
sounds like it's going to be good. Go ahead, Swedes.
You were talking about stay-at-home mothers and how some people don't consider that a job and stuff. Well, for 4 years, I was a stay-at-home dad. My wife made more than me, and it was nonstop. It was continually cleaning. It was continually changing diapers. It was continually washing. That's all I did. So
and every time you put the blocks away, like the kid would come and like dump the bin with the blocks, and
and during that time, my wife was the one making the money, so I wasn't spending any money. I was very destitute, even because I didn't want to use any of her money for anything other than for the children. So I, didn't do anything for myself for that whole time period. So, yeah. So it was nice talking with you. Thank you for having me on today. Can we get a little bit of a teaser of one of the slutty events? Maybe not the main one, but something from the book. We want to hear this. Chat wants to hear it.
Well, as I was saying, her roommate is the one who was definitely more promiscuous, and she started working in a dungeon in Chelsea and had a few spicy experiences.
That sounds very good. Okay, so Jose, you're on with Jen Lieberman.
Hi.
I got a question for both of you guys, ladies. Do you wear condoms?
Well, I don't wear them because I'm not a male. I don't have the correct anatomy, but I don't have unprotected sex.
All right.
Not until I'm married. Not until I'm married.
Okay, one last question. Charmin Smith, you're on with fellow author Jen Lieberman.
Hi, Charmin.
Hi, thank you for your good humor during all of the questions that you have been asked today. We hear a lot of different things. I really enjoyed the way you shared the experience of trying to find a literary agent and how complicated it is for authors who don't even know what awards or what things to even apply for. What a great piece of information. Most people don't realize how complicated it is. If there was anything you could go back and do differently, words of wisdom, lessons learned, what's your tip?
In terms of publishing?
Yes.
Okay, so I definitely would have gotten an editor earlier on before I started sending my manuscript out to literary agents and publishing companies, because once they see something that's not in good shape, they're never going to look at it again. So that's number one. Number two, I would have vetted my editor better, because the first editor I hired was grossly the wrong fit. She didn't get my writing, and she also didn't like my writing. So she was just extremely cruel and brutal with her criticism. And she basically shut me down to the point where I couldn't even look at the manuscript again. So those would be the two major things. They would have to do with editing, proofreading, vetting people, finding out who else the editor has worked with, what experiences they've had with this person. And also, I kind of feel like this editor should have said to me, you know what, this isn't my cup of tea. I'm not the right fit for this. Because I turn down things all the time that I'm not the right fit for. And I'll suggest a friend or a colleague or say, I'm sorry, this just isn't, up my alley. I'm the wrong fit for this. You need somebody who's going to believe in this project, who understands what you're doing. And I think that woman was she was like a bitter person.
Okay.
I really do.
What are you on to next? That's real. I mean, that honestly happens. And if you're not a right fit with somebody professionally, make that decision early and move on for your benefit, everybody else's, especially if you're paying them. You don't want to pay somebody to mistreat you. It's just not worth it. What's next for you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's next for you? Are you writing something else?
Yes. So I'm writing book 2, because I've decided that Year of the What is now a series. So book 2 is Year of the Bitch. And
I love that.
Which
Do you think
is
that's
the
going to get
second
censored?
most. Pardon?
Do you think that's going to get censored?
Oh, well, it's all going to be under the Year of the What umbrella.
Okay,
so
good.
it's just going to be book 2. So book 1, you open up the front cover and then it says, adapted from the solo show Year of the Slut. So book 2 is going to be Year of the Bitch, because it's another word that's weaponized against us as women as we get a little older. The first slut is how we're shamed when we're in our teens and 20s. As we get a little older, more assertive, then we become bitches for doing the exact same thing a man would be praised for.
Yes.
We get shamed and labeled. So that's going to be book 2. So I'm working on that. I'm also in the middle of fundraising for a feature film I wrote called Longing, which is a really racy, tumultuous, dramatic romance. And I'm also shopping around a TV pilot that I wrote with my colleague, Stacy Damalski. I met her as a consultant, and we've become really good friends over the past few years. We wrote a pilot together that has to do with fertility and female reproduction.
Good. It sounds like you have tapped into a wonderful new little person to be part of our community. I hope you come back. I like all the projects you're doing. Women need to hear this. And, people say bitch, but I don't know why they say it like it's a bad thing. I personally take it as a compliment. It took me years to get comfortable with that word. All the other women should as well.
But what does it mean, though? What does it mean when somebody calls you a bitch? Why is that a compliment?
Well, because it means that you're assertive, that you're powerful, that you're not intimidated easily. I think just like I deconstruct the word slut in the first novel, because it's not about, people have read it. Even a lot of my male friends have read it and they're like, she's not a slut. And I'm like, I know, that's the whole point. Like, what is a slut?
Right.
So basically
what is
we're going to continue. Exactly. I don't know.
What is a slut and what is a bitch? Like, nobody knows. I don't think anyone has a definition. I'm going to call her Kermit and Friends. You're on with Jen Lieberman.
Hi, bitches.
That's a compliment now.
Yeah. Oh, bitches.
All right. So bitch is a good word. It just means you're strong, like you, myself, and Charmin. We're all strong. Let's take one more person. Good times. You're on with author Jen Lieberman.
All right, I had a question for I want to get into acting. How did you get into acting?
I started taking classes, and then I moved to New York and just was like, I'm here. But no, there's a lot of online resources. I would definitely suggest taking an acting class just to kind of start working out your muscles, like learning how to do monologues and how to do scenes and stuff, and working on different techniques.
Putting yourself out there, because I know Good Times has a YouTube channel. Do these YouTube channels help at all with the acting? Can somebody find us on there?
I think they can. It's kind of hit or miss. It takes a lot of followers to get noticed on YouTube. Like, the market's quite saturated. But I would definitely say, start off with an acting class, or there's some really good acting books you can read. There's a book by Stella Adler. There's a book by Uta Hagen, Respect for Acting, Michael Chekhov. Just kind of go on Amazon or Google and look up books on acting technique. And then the other thing is there's several websites, depending on what city you're in or what country you're in. There's these casting websites. And then also get on a movie set. And it's relatively easy to get on a movie set as a background actor, where you're like in a crowd scene or like a person in a cafe, because then you can actually see what a day in the life of an actor is. But obviously it's going to take some auditions and some training to land those roles, unless they're looking for a very specific look, and if you have that specific look they want, then you can kind of bypass the line. But a lot of people think they want to be in movies and TV, and then they spend a day as a background actor, and it's 18-hour day and a lot of sitting around and doing nothing. But at least it gives you an experience of what to expect when you're there.
I was a writer on a TV show for 9 months in Detroit.
You were?
Amazing. What show?
Wow.
It was called Switchplay TV. It aired at 2 a.m. on the CW network.
Amazing. Well, that's exciting.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Were you able to get a cameo on that show that you were writing on?
They at that time I was young and I was pretty shy, so they kept on trying to get me to be in skits. I didn't want to do it.
Really?
Oh my God, you could have had your big break.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I was pretty shy when I was younger.
Oh, okay, but you're better now. You'd do it now if you had the shot?
Oh yeah, I would for sure.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what city are you in?
A little bit north of Detroit. I'm in Nowheresville.
Okay, because I'm sure like if you go to Detroit, there's definitely like, acting and improv classes. And the other great thing about acting class is you meet a community of like-minded people.
Right.
So my friend Rebecca, who I did my web series with and one of my short films with, we met in acting class. And one of my different writing partner that I have, we also met in an acting class. And one of my, I have a group of very good friends of mine that I've met over the years in different acting classes, because everybody's there for the same reasons and you're trying to do the same things. And, I also talk about like everybody wants to like reach for the highest fruit. Everybody wants to work with like the people who are already at the top, but there's so many talented people out there, like you, like me, who are not at the top yet, but who are looking for people to collaborate and create with and pool resources.
Yeah, like you get your friends together. Maybe your friends are talented. If you're talented, you might attract other talented people. You put them together and then you create something and then you put it on your YouTube channel. People see it and then it grows. I think that would be
work your way
terrific.
up together. Yeah. And you work your way up together, and I think that's like a really solid way of, starting out, getting things out there. I'm a huge proprietor of like, make your own break, make your own content, stop waiting, start creating. There's always going to be excuses of why now's not the time and why it's not right.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, you're wrong for because of this reason and that. There's always going to be some negative
or the
reason
script's not perfect. Yeah, the script's never going to be
exactly.
perfect. Your body's never going to be perfect. Your face is never. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much weight you lose. It doesn't matter how many drafts you write. You're never going to feel ready.
Yes, there's never a perfect time to do anything. I remember when I like started doing this IRL stuff, which is like man on the street. I was like hemming and hawing about it. I'm like, oh no, like I gotta wait for the perfect person to do it with. I gotta wait for the perfect event to go to. I'm like, I just had to do it. Like you just have to start doing things. Be a doer. And even if you put out bad stuff, you keep going. My first video was like vertical. It wasn't even like horizontal. I had no sound. You just do it. You power through that. You screw up a million times and then eventually you'll get it. That's just it. You have to do. Don't just think about it.
And we're all experts at talking ourselves out of things. We're all experts of convincing ourselves why we shouldn't. And we have to become experts at convincing ourselves why we should. Because if there's that seed of desire, we're so afraid of rejection that we reject ourselves every day before we give somebody else the chance to reject us. It's like, oh, no, they're going to reject me, so I'm not even going to try.
Yes, that is so true. Yes. So stop rejecting yourself. Just put it out there. Just try. Even if it goes bad, you could still put it out there. I was so afraid of like putting out bad material and bad things. Just keep putting things out there. People will see that you're doing things and they will reach out. I've had so many people reach out to me. They see what I'm trying to do. Maybe I'm not there yet. They see what I'm trying to do and they want to be a part of it. They will help you. They will.
Exactly. Literally, like my first audition when I was 17, I was in Toronto and I auditioned to be a dancer in the play Cats for their tour to Germany. I am not a dancer. Okay. I am not a dancer, but that was like the biggest audition in Toronto, at the time. And I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I literally fell on my face, like flat on my face three times, but I stayed in the room until they told me to leave. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna give it my all.
And I think it's a matter of you just have to be willing to fall on your face over and over and over again.
In front of people, because this is a thing that's in front of people. You have to be willing to be embarrassed. I remember I auditioned for Tommy Mottola on the Howard Stern show in front of like 30 million people. And Tommy Mottola pretty much said I sucked. And it was one of the like most horrible things like of my life. But then so many good things
I listened to your audition. I thought your voice was amazing.
Really?
Yes. I thought you're an amazing singer.
Oh, thank you. Well, if you remember, Tommy Mottola said I was very bad. And I was just like so humiliated by that. And I remember like hanging out with my friends and just like, kind of like just hanging out with my friends and talking to them. And then all of a sudden people would like write to me and say, oh, you weren't that bad. Oh, like you should try to do this. And like there was a lot of outreach. And I'm like, you know what? Who cares that I was embarrassed? Now I'm connected with all these people. And now all these people are talking to me, and that's what it's about. It's not about like my ego, because a lot of times like I screw up. I confuse things with my ego. But really, if you take your ego out of it and you just keep creating, I mean, God, he created like all these things. I don't think he was thinking to be perfect. You just create. And eventually, like, we're all connected with this, and you can inspire other people to do it. So people are like watching today, wondering if you should start something, if it's the perfect time. Just do it, and we will support you. Reach out to us. How can people reach out to you, Jen?
So my handle on all my social media is @ I am Jen Lieberman. So that's what I put as my name. So yeah, that's the easiest way to reach out to me. Or you can find me at makeyourownbreak.com.
Okay,
and
let me put that in
the
website. Make your
own break.com, and that leads to all my other websites. It leads to the book, it leads to the acting stuff, the filmmaking stuff, but that's kind of the easiest. And so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I don't TikTok or Snapchat or any of it's just too much. I'm overwhelmed.
It's a lot. Like I had a friend that was trying to get me on TikTok. I just can't do it. I have too much on my plate right now, so I totally get it. But
and
yeah,
not just that, I don't agree to the terms of use. I do not agree to this company in China having all my information. Like, I just don't agree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, well, no, it's true. Have you read the terms of service?
No, I don't read any terms ever. No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little scary. So, it's already scary enough that like Mark Zuckerberg is tracking me with like every conversation that I do on my phone. I don't need China doing it too.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
All right, that's a good point. Nobody go on TikTok, but everybody contact Jen Lieberman. She's so cool. Did you have fun?
I had so much fun. Thank you, Elisa. I am so happy that you invited me on, and I hope we get a chance to connect again.
Okay, me too. Thank you. How awesome is Jen Lieberman, guys? How inspired are you? So basically what I learned from Jen Lieberman today is to not hem and haw about things. Don't be like, no, it's not the right time. I'm not good enough. I can't do this, can't do that. Do not think like that. Think instead of being a doer, go forward, have no fear, get out there. Do your dream. Do not worry about being embarrassed, because it can also lead to good things and connecting with people all over the world, like we're doing here on Kermit and Friends. After this show, there's going to be a wrap-up show. I hope everybody joins the wrap-up show with Wheezy and with Charmin. So Wheezy hosts the wrap-up show. Charmin is the co-host. You could talk about Jen Lieberman. You could talk about me. You could talk about all the people that joined us. Ski Mask Andy, he was interesting today, right? He's an interesting, unique character. You could talk about him and everybody. Here's the link. I'm going to put the link to the wrap-up show so you can also watch that. You should subscribe to me and also my friend Wheezy, who hosts that wrap-up show. I'm going to be doing some interesting IRL this week. A lot of people have contacted me to do IRL together, and I cannot wait for that. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time we do Kermit and